right here that there are heavy sediment flows coming from this flat. Also, the trees stacked in the lower portion of this picture are what used to be a stream bed that used to be fresh water. And this is another example of illegal stream bed alteration. So, why is this occurring? Lack of agricultural regulation for a crop with a huge economic value. There's a lack of farmer education and outreach. Decades of unenforced environmental and land use regulations. And also there's a fear that if you go to seek out basic grading, water diversion, and building permits, that you will be prosecuted. You don't want to draw unnecessary attention, so there has to be better regulations. But decades of unenforced environmental and land use regulations is a big concern because the people who are doing it right often are not being rewarded and competing with people who are not caring about the environment and what they're doing. This is from Mother Jones as well. According to their research, trespass grows accounted for 72% of outdoor plant seeds in 2013. Nearly one half of the cannabis eradicated by law enforcement was on public or tribal land. This is an aerial photo of trespass grow located on the Humboldt-Trinity County border in Northern California. You can notice the cannabis plants growing in between the trees there. And this is, they have actually cleared this in this national park, the forest here, to let the sunlight come in and provide, to grow these crops. So they have cleared land in there. This is a photo of the trash left behind at some of these trespass grows. Upon eradication of this site specifically, law enforcement bagged and stacked the trash found in the camp. However, they did not remove the garbage. They left it there. And after a few bears came along and other wildlife, the campsite looks like the bomb went off. So here we have Morad Gabriel removing an illegal pesticide from the forest, an ornamental pesticide. Just to let you know, these are all volunteers. No government funding, no government agency, no law enforcement, no Department of Public Health, no USDA. These are volunteers cleaning up illegal grows in Humboldt-Trinity County areas. It takes about 5 years to clean up these sites. This is a picture of a large illegal water diversion that sits the headwaters of this creek. The dam here was about 7 feet tall, about 20 feet wide. It was used to catch water, and it's another form of illegal water diversion. You don't know who's downstream of you who's relying on that water either. So why are we experiencing a high volume of trespass grows? Well, it's a valuable, unregulated crop. There's a strong illicit market. Public land is really cheap. There's no mortgage. You're not subject to forfeiture laws, right? Nothing to lose. And then there's a lack of funding for reclamation activities. So there's not groups going out there monitoring this and reclaiming the lands. These are the issues we face. So what are some of the solutions? Well, regulate cannabis as an agricultural crop for human consumption. I know it sounds strange to regulate a plant like it's a plant that people are consuming, but we should consider putting things like the Department of Agriculture in charge. The USDA regulates the use of the term organic. If you put organic on your label, and you have not gotten permission from the USDA, that's a big problem. They control that trademark. You have to submit your product to them to be able to use that on your label. But putting the Department of Agriculture in charge of cultivation rules, inspection, and enforcement means no more special treatment for cannabis. It's treated like an agricultural product. Regulations encourage environmental compliance. Implementation of industry-wide best practices, such as the American Herbal Product Association's recommendations to regulators. Education efforts to farmers who have been operating for decades without any guidance on best management practices. Deschedule or reschedule cannabis, and finally allow the EPA to create tolerance thresholds for pesticide use. There are technically no approved pesticides for use on cannabis. There are pesticides that are not allowed to be used on any crop that people consume, such as Eagle 20. It's not allowed to be used on anything human beings are going to consume. Focus law enforcement efforts on trespass grows, eradication, and reclamation activities versus targeting legal outdoor operations. Flying around in a helicopter, rappelling down and cutting a few things and flying away, that sort of thing. And reducing our carbon footprint. Engaging encouraging greenhouses, row covers, and open air production. So this is obviously not a cannabis farm, but I showed you all that illegal land clearing photos and things like this. This is actually a picture of a flyby of a very well-known vineyard in Napa Valley. The winery has been in the same family for over 35 years, certified organic, sustainable, and biodynamic. If you look closely, you can see that this entire bowl has almost been completely cleared of trees. Extensive earth moving has taken place to form these terraces. Roads have been built, ponds have been dug. At least 2 ponds are in view. However, many of us wouldn't bat an eyelash at this type of activity. Why? Because we have some sense of confidence that all the activities taking place here are appropriately regulated according to agricultural standards. They probably got permits to cut down those trees. They made sure that their water reclamation activities were in the proper guidelines for the area they were operating. And just to end this presentation and take some questions, I don't want to stand too long between you guys and barbecue and music, but the simple message is that this is just another agricultural crop produced for human consumption, and it's about time that we treat it as such. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any, I have a background in science, and I'm happy to take any endocannabinoid questions that weren't answered, as well as any questions about cannabis that you guys may have. It's your last chance before it's over.
It's almost 4:20.
All right? Yes?
My husband was diagnosed at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City with drop neck top syndrome. It's inoperable. And my question to you is, he has severe neuropathy in his feet. This here in Reading has got him on gabapentin, 3,600 milligrams a day. Does this prescription affect his body now that he's on the THC and the CBD?
I think that when you're combining medications that are taken orally, that's always a risk for negative interactions. A lot of the enzymes, a lot of the things that metabolize drugs, a lot of things compete for it. And so, I think that you might want to talk to your primary care physician about it. But the thing is you want to put as little things toward, if you're taking half a dozen medications, you want to be wary of the liver. And when you inhale cannabis, you're bypassing the liver. Even cannabidiol is contraindicated when taken orally with other medications because they causes complications in the liver when those drugs are competing for what's called this class of CYP enzymes. So, to give you an example that's a little closer to home, if you take CBD and THC together in high doses orally, and the CBD will actually prevent the THC from being metabolized in the liver. It will delay it. And so administration form matters a lot when we're talking about concerns with these drugs. So with that, I hope that answers it. If I was taking a bunch of medications orally, I'd be wary of taking any other things that are going to go interact with the liver.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Is any one version of growing actually use less pesticides?
That's a great question. That is such a terrific question. Outdoor cultivation uses less pesticides. The sun, I don't know if you've left anything you care about in the sun, but it destroys it. Bugs, insects, things like that can't stand the heat. Think about what it's like to work in 90-degree weather out in a field. Humans can barely survive. But when you're growing indoor, you're just basically setting up an environment for opportunistic infection. Unless you have amazing controls, it's not going to happen. How do they get around this issue? So in Connecticut, they established some of the strictest rules there are for indoor cultivation. It can only be cultivated indoors, and it has to meet pharmaceutical standards for bacterial content. The only way to do that is to gamma irradiate. So that's what they're doing. Not only are they using pesticides, but then they have to gamma irradiate it to pass the standards at the end. And so when we talk about outdoor cultivation, the sun, the competition, is actually providing a benefit there. And when you grow cannabis with other crops around it, with say some berries or other crops, animals tend to go through those. Cannabis tends to be bitter for them. They don't like to eat too much of it. So going outdoor opens up the competition and actually results in much less chances for infection of these plants. I have, just so you know, the part of the certification program, I have visited over 15 cultivation operations in the last month. And I have to say that I'm always surprised. I used to be an indoor fanatic, like knock on people's doors. Have you heard about indoor cultivation? But after going and seeing outdoor crops, I switched my view completely. I have seen way less problems in outdoor open air greenhouse facilities than I have in indoor. Everything can go wrong in indoor. Bugs love it in there. There's nothing to eat them. It's very nice and cool, often pleasant in these indoor operations. So yeah, outdoor is the way to go for less pest management resource use. Absolutely. All right. The other ones. All right.